Hello, folks, and welcome to another episode of the Moose Hunt Podcast. I'm your host, Chris Richards, and today we're going to be sitting down for an in-depth discussion around a very important topic, trophy care after the harvest. It's no secret that how that animal is cared for in the field and brought to the taxidermist is critical, and that taxidermist being able to successfully deliver a quality product to you. We sit down with our team member, Troy Pelletier, who's the owner and operator of Pelletier Taxidermy in northern Maine, as we hear his tips, suggestions, and ideas around what ensures he as a taxidermist gets a product with a cape, rack, etc., that he's able to ensure maximum success in delivering the goals of a successful hunter and client. So sit back, relax, and enjoy. All right, folks, and welcome to another episode of the Moose Hunt Podcast. I'm your host, Chris Richards. Very excited today. We have a very special guest and member of Team OMM here, Mr. Troy Pelletier. Troy, how you doing today?
Hey, Chris. How's it going?
Very good, very good. So Troy is actually going to walk us through a unique topic. We're going to talk a little about his background, how he got in the woods, but Troy also is a taxidermist and is going to talk to us a little bit about trophy care, some things to look for. We'll touch a little bit on, the impact of quartering and hide care and those types of things. But one thing that we're really excited about the relationship with Troy and other things is the ability to offer one-stop shopping, so to speak, for our clients at OMM.
Yep.
So we, obviously we have OMM Outfitters here in Eagle Lake, but we also have one of our, sponsorship supporting business here, obviously, of this podcast project is Eagle Lake Wild Game Processing. So we can offer that. Clients who want taxidermy services, we can lock it in with Troy.
Yep.
And so to the listeners out there, if you have a permit, I think one of the big things is get these things lined up if you don't have them lined up.
Yeah.
And just because you locked in a guide to take you hunting, don't suddenly think, well, what do I do for my butcher?
Yeah.
Or where am I taking my
Know what
cape,
to do with your moose before you shoot one.
That's right. So we're really excited to have Troy on to talk a little bit about his background in taxidermy stuff. But, we'll jump right in. Troy, why don't you share with us a little on your background, where you grew up, how you got into the outdoors, what brought you into this outdoor industry, so to speak?
Yeah. I was born with it.
Yeah.
Don't really know where to start from there, but I, as far as I can remember, it started with deer.
Yep.
I just dreamt about them. It's all I wanted to do was be in the woods deer hunting, and my father would take me when I was young, and that just kind of snowballed from there. And it's all I wanted to do.
Yeah.
Got older and took up bow hunting at a young age early. My grandfather got me into that. That's my passion right now for the most part is bow hunting. And but yeah, I ended up getting older and getting out of high school, getting a job working in the woods running a machine.
Yeah.
So from about 2008 on, that's what I did.
Yeah.
So I was gone, Monday to Friday running a machine and didn't have a whole lot of time to hunt other than the weekends.
Right.
So the whole time I'm running that machine, you know what I'm thinking about.
Well, I'm sure, and you're seeing.
Yep. And so, time went on, and it was just, how can I be outside more?
Right.
How can I find ways to be outside more and be with my family more and everything? And that, always being passionate about animals in the woods and everything, that led me to taxidermy.
Right. So when did you jump in with the taxidermy and start your own business? And
well, I went about it a little different than most people. Most people go to school.
Right.
I didn't. I am 100% self-taught.
Yeah.
And I researched and ate up everything I possibly could about it before I did it at all.
Right.
And probably a year and a half of just that's all I did. Just research, studied, watch DVDs, all kinds of stuff, anything I could.
Yep.
And to me, the best way to get good at something is looking at what some of the best people in the world, who are those people? Mm-hmm. How are they doing it, and what are they doing?
Right.
Because there's a million ways to skin a cat. And when you go straight to the source of the best, sure, you'll probably go about things a little different, but if you can apply a lot of their basic principles to yourself,
right,
I found it was a really good way to learn. So that's what I did. Mm-hmm. And I didn't go wild on learning about a million different types of species on how to do what. I mean, right off the bat, I just focused on deer.
Right.
Because I love deer.
Yeah.
That's what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
And that's how, when I started, I just wanted to do deer, and that's it.
Just whitetails.
Just
right?
whitetails, that's it. I was like, man, how could I do this for me and a few of my friends? And I wanted to just take it to a top level if I could, just for us, for no other reason than to just have nice mounts for us. So that's kind of where it started.
Yeah.
And snowballed a little bit from there.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. So, now I primarily focus on big game.
Yep.
Now, I do that for a few reasons. For one, I want to keep my turnaround time within a year. Mm-hmm. Because I was a hunter before I ever started doing taxidermy.
Right.
So I know what it's like to be sitting on the couch wondering, when's my mount going to be done?
Right.
Tomorrow? Is it 3 years? Is it? I didn't want that. So yeah, the only way to do that and to keep the quality up is to not do so many different types of animals. You got to keep your menu small.
Pick a niche.
Yeah, exactly. And run with that.
Right.
That seemed to be the best way, and only taking in a limited amount of work every year. Mm-hmm. You got to know how to say no and when to say no.
Right.
I'm still learning that.
Still learning.
Got to figure it out.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Well, and how long had you, when did the kind of partnership with OMM start?
Oh, I could make this a really long story, but I won't. But I met Kenny first.
I was going to say, it was Kenny and Nathan who you met.
Yeah. So, I was in high school.
Yep.
So probably 2004, 2005 ish.
Yeah.
Right when OMM was getting started, I met Kenny.
Okay.
Because Kenny actually lived in an apartment below where my family did.
Okay.
Where I used to live with my mother, and I met Kenny that way, and then met Kenny. Soon met Nate. All became friends, and before you know it,
there's this outfitter going.
There it is, yeah.
Right.
And actually, in 2000, it might be 6.
Yep.
They had just started having people come and eat at the Michaud camps here.
Yeah.
And I cooked here that one summer.
Okay.
So that was kind of my the start of it.
Yeah. The launch into the business.
Yep. And as I got busier over the years too, logging and everything else,
Right.
Obviously lost contact a little bit, but we'd still always keep in touch.
Yeah.
I'd talk to Nate a few times a year, Kenny, so that's where I came about knowing how this all started, and to see it get to where it is now from what it was is pretty nuts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of crazy.
Very.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny when we did the podcast with Guy Randlett, the history there of him, been doing this literally since it began in 1980. And hearing them joke, they're like, Guy Randlett kind of locked us in with our first referred clients. He's like, we were just a couple of guys driving around like during the moose hunt,
professional moose hunters,
seeing if
air quotes,
people who needed help, and we joke about, well, what's it charge? And like, I don't know, can you pay our gas afterward?
That'll be good.
We
get to go moose hunting,
right? But you all got to start somewhere. And so you met them, obviously had the relationship along the way. Been working in the woods now. Have you transitioned entirely to taxidermy?
Oh yeah, full time.
Full time.
Yep. Yeah. So I dabbled in it a little bit. When I first decided that this is what I wanted to do.
Right.
That very first year I had to work both jobs, so I did, and I took in a very small amount of animals, and once I got running with that, I loved it. I knew that this is 100% what I want to do, and so when I decided that I'm definitely going to do it full time, I'd given my previous employer, I gave him about a year's notice just to let him know that, hey, I am going to be doing this, and
Right.
here I am now.
There you are.
A few years later.
Yeah, a few years later, right?
Yeah.
That's fantastic. And
Yeah.
I think, you know, I mean, I'll be honest, Troy, like, you do phenomenal work. So I'm
Thank
not
you.
surprised at the demand, and you know, people out there, you know, check out, you know, Troy's, you know, Facebook page. Name of the company?
Pelletier Taxidermy. It's pretty simple.
Yeah,
I just wanted my name on it, and
Right.
we'll call it good.
You know, some of the the stories that I think your work does and the research you put in, you know, seeing you write that with doing research on poses of animals.
Oh, yeah.
You know, those types of things, and bringing that
Yeah.
very unique
Yeah.
to see that. What kind of gives you that drive to?
I'm ate up by it.
Yeah.
You know, I'm really passionate about that stuff, and I take it real seriously because, like I said, I was a hunter before I did this.
Right.
Like, yeah. And, you know, it's just that animal to that person could mean the world.
Literally.
And, like, to me, that means the world. You know,
Yeah.
someone coming to pick something up and seeing that they're happy,
Yeah.
never mind money, never mind anything. I'm happy. Like,
Right.
that's what, you know.
Because the work you do, when you really think about it, from my perspective, is, you know, you deliver this, you know, this hunt, this experience, this hunt,
Yeah.
is a lifelong memory. But you, like, physically create that.
Oh, yeah.
You know, like,
Yep.
we'll maybe have that in your brain,
Yeah.
but you create the, I don't know, the memorial piece, if
Yeah.
you will, that
Yep.
will be here longer than that individual.
That's another thing too, is like touching on what you said. I get to talk to all these hunters.
Yeah.
You get to figure out personalities, and you see how excited they were. And I love to hear the story about the hunt, and because they might tell me something that happened during the hunt that they don't even know that they want incorporated in the mount.
Right.
Once they tell it to me, I might shoot the idea back to them, like, hey, maybe we can do this, you know, to better represent what happened that day or whatever. And
Right.
sometimes it's a great idea, sometimes it's a flop, but I throw it out there.
Yeah.
You know, and like I said, it's so important to, you know, I just want every piece to be, I want to do the animal respect,
Right.
you know.
Right.
That's,
Number one.
yep. And so to me, doing everything as high quality as I can,
Right.
it's kind of a pride thing. You
Yeah.
know, I don't want stuff leaving my shop that's not what I feel is good work.
Right. Something you would want
Exactly.
your own
Yep.
harvest to be.
Yep. Exactly. Yeah. Yep.
So that leads in really well to, you know, I think a topic we want to really touch upon, because so much of this podcast, our goal is to be educational. You know, we share stories. It's exciting. It's entertaining. We also want to teach people. So, you know, you just said, you know, I want to do the best job I can do.
Yep.
You know, provide them the greatest quality. What are some things people can do to give you the best chance
Oh boy.
to do your best work? You know, when you think about whether it comes to moose or bear, or,
Yeah.
you know, trophy care after harvest.
Well, we can start with moose because that's the hot topic.
Yeah.
Don't drag it for
Don't
a
drag it.
long ways.
Right.
Don't do that. Well, where do we start with this? We can just do basic field care. I
Yeah.
mean, something that is huge, and I am happy to hear it every time it gets done, or I get an animal that was done like this, is caping and quartering. We might sound like a broken record saying it all the time, but
Yeah.
it's just the way to go. Caping and quartering is the way to go, 100%. Now, I'll just talk taxidermy standpoint. I won't even talk meat care and all that. We'll just stick taxidermy. But,
Right.
you know, caping and quartering that animal in the field, that hide is pristine.
Yeah.
100%. Nothing gets spoiled on it. You know, you do it right there in the field. It gets rolled up, packed out to your truck. How's it going to get spoiled on the way there? You know what I mean?
Right.
Now I'm talking about damage itself, you know.
Yeah.
Meat spoilage is another thing, but so at that time too, I mean, I know I'm getting a hide that is in perfect condition. And if I get a hide that's in perfect condition, you're going to have a nice mount, in my opinion.
Right.
You know, it's just when it's done wrong, you know, when the moose gets drugged for a long ways, well, then they have big patches of hair missing.
Right.
And I can sew and I can cut and I can sew some more, but I can only do so much to get rid of those bald spots until it starts to look not right.
Right.
Sometimes if they're too bad, then I can't use the cape. We got to get a replacement cape.
Yep.
You know, and
that can be
expensive.
You know,
yeah,
and not always guaranteed quickly.
That too. Yeah, you can't always find one.
Right.
You know, and me personally, I want the cape off of my animal.
Oh, I'd be the same way.
100%. Yeah, I wouldn't, you know.
I would end up just doing a Euro if I ruined it.
Yeah,
you know
to me,
I mean?
it's
yeah.
Now,
but that's my preference.
Now, I say that I had shot 2 bulls before I ever started doing taxidermy.
Yep.
And that's what I did. I had them just plaque mounted on the wall. Now that I'm doing taxidermy, I found 2 nice capes. They actually came from here, OMM. And now I'm going to mount up my bulls. And I think it's just going to be cool to have.
Yeah, yeah.
You know,
absolutely.
But I mean, you know, for the most part, I mean, I want my hide. And the best way to ensure that that hide's going to be good and kept in perfect shape the day that you shot it is cape and quarter.
Yeah.
There's just no other way around it. Yeah.
And I think, I think part of that too, you know, culturally, because, you know, I've, you know, been on many moose hunts and I've pulled them out whole more than once, got them in the truck. And that just was what we did, you know, you know, weigh it, wanted to weigh, you know, I get that. But, you know, I think a big thing too, you touch upon is that hide care. If you're, you know, if you bring that to your butcher shop and they cape it for you and you drop it off and it's got a basketball size hole, that's hard. You know, that's tough.
It makes it tough.
You know, so, you know, certainly caping and quartering or, you know, find a way to immediately load it, you know, don't pull it.
Yeah. And you know, there is a lot of people, there are a lot of people that do it that way.
Yeah.
That are good at doing it.
Yes, it can be done right.
Yeah, there are some people that do a really nice job. I mean, I've seen people take canoes and boats.
Yeah,
you know, just chop them in half. Moose goes in there and winch them or pull them out. There's all kinds of other creative ways to do it, but those people are talented and good at it.
Right.
Most people aren't. You know, most people aren't.
Yeah, and I think a big part of that too, and it comes back to the recovery, is just, you know, having a game plan for that in mind. If you got a bull tag and you want to, you know, go after shooting a big trophy bull and you have a goal and a vision of mounting one, have that as a part of your plan. Not just recovery, but careful recovery.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
To ensure you can do your work.
Yeah. Be ready for anything.
Yeah.
And like these days, there's no excuse period to say, oh, I don't know how. Man,
There's
Google,
a lot of resources,
YouTube, you learn everything on there. Anything you want to know, it's right there. It's right in our hands, right in our pockets.
And as one of those resources, we actually today shot a little video session with you that we'll be actually putting up in the OMM Outfitters YouTube channel.
I hope my taxidermy is a little bit better than my drawing, but I think we got the idea across.
Yeah, we had a great whiteboard moment with Troy today.
Hope no one judges me on that, but all right.
Now, one thing I think you've touched on this. I think it'd be good for people to hear. Let's say, you know, someone they go out. Okay, we have our plan. We're going to get our moose. We've decided we're going to quarter it, for instance.
Yep.
Hide. You've got the hide.
Yep.
What are some things? Don't do this with it. Do this with it when it comes to whether it be cool, wet, dirty, whatever.
Yeah.
Like, you know.
I'll start with the knife.
Yeah.
I really like replaceable blade knives.
Yeah.
Havalon, Outdoor Edge, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Now with that knife, extremely important that when you're making your cuts, that knife is underneath the skin and you're cutting upwards.
Yep.
So that knife is always under the skin.
Yep.
A nightmare for me as a taxidermist is cut hair.
Yeah.
So if you're trying to make your cuts right through the hair all the time, you're just hacking it up. And, yeah, it can be a mess.
Yeah.
So that's that's really important. The next thing is, I don't know if a lot of people understand that the hide itself is the first thing to spoil on that animal. Everyone is always concerned about the meat, as they should be, of course.
Right.
But that hide will always be the first thing to spoil. And so moisture and heat breed bacteria.
Right.
That's the rule with them. So using your head, common sense, how can I keep that hide dry? How can I keep that hide cool? You know, and plan for it. Get creative.
Yeah.
There's a lot of general rules, but there's no right or wrong way to do anything. Just get creative with it and do it. Has to be done.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, something a lot of people might do is, hypothetically, let's say we're quartering that bull in the field, get the hide off. Well, someone might just roll that into a ball and with the head and go throw it in off to the side where it's out of the way. Well, that hide was warm.
And we just rolled it up.
Yeah. Now everything that's on the inside of that is going to stay warm.
Yeah.
And not going to cool. And that's where you run into problems quick, real fast. Same thing with.
Stay tuned, folks, while we take a brief break for a word from our sponsors.
Eagle Lake Sporting Camps have been around since the 1890s. The camps sit on a 23,000-acre state reserve, surrounded by forest, loaded with wildlife. Cabins are rustic, bathroom, shower, full bar, great food. If it has to do with outdoors, hiking, biking, camping, hunting, fishing, we can do it. All I can say is, if you're looking to get away, Eagle Lake Sporting Camps has what you're looking for.
To learn more about the Eagle Lake Sporting Camps, please visit eaglelakesportingcamps.com. And now, let's get back to the podcast.
You talk about that hide. Say someone drops off a moose hide at my place. Mm-hmm. And, if a taxidermist would take that hide and, say he's going to have the tanner redo the fleshing service, so he wants that hide frozen. Well, if he just folds that up, throws it in the freezer, it takes a really long time for the inside of that
to actually freeze.
It just won't. Yeah. It'll take forever. So you're going to end up with problems once that gets to the tannery.
Yeah.
Just cooling is really important. So simple things like shade.
Yeah.
It's huge.
Yeah.
15, 20 degree difference in the shade. So if you're in the field and you just caped and quartering that bull, take that hide, put it in the shade, first side down, lay it flat.
Yeah.
While you just do the rest of your other, just let it be there, let it cool, do the rest of your work that has to be done. Give it a chance to cool.
So get it to the truck, for instance.
Yeah.
Let's say you got your quarters, and a tip we give people is, put a pallet in your truck.
Great idea.
So I paint a pallet white that I have cut perfectly, fits in my bed. I throw my quarters in there so they're up off the bed because, that black bed liner, if it's especially, we can get some hot days in September. Take that hide, usually put it on top.
Yeah.
Roll it out flat. Don't leave it rolled up. Is something I always try
That's
to do.
Great. And right there, that's common sense.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's just airflow.
Right.
Man, that's great. That's what we're after.
Yeah.
Any creative way you can, get that hide cool.
Yeah.
And like I said, dry. Just don't. I know a lot of people might think it's good to, they get their cape a little dirty or whatever, and they might think, well, we'll hose it down or we'll dump water on it and wash it in a
cool it down and then
cool it down.
Right.
It all sounds good.
Yeah.
But moisture breeds bacteria.
Yeah.
That's the key. So it's got to stay dry. Even if it's filthy, just keep it dry.
I think I heard you say once, it was dry, cool, and clean.
Yeah.
And if it can't be clean, keep it dry and cool.
Yeah.
And if it can't be dry and cool, clean and cool, keep it dry.
Yeah.
Was like your falling steps.
Yeah. That seems to be the best bet. Because a dirty hide, no one wants a dirty hide.
Right.
But in the tanning process, throughout the whole thing, it's not going to be dirty anymore. You know what I mean?
Right.
It gets clean. There's all kinds of chemicals. I won't get into all that, but it's going to get clean,
Right.
regardless of how it gets to me.
Yeah.
So,
Cleaner's breath better, but
yep, you
dry.
can fix dirty, but you can't fix rotten or spoiled.
Right.
So we'll go with that.
Awesome. I love that.
Yep.
I love that. I guess the one thing I was just curious, so far in your career, what has been like the most unique mounting? Because I know you've done some really awesome ones.
You could have prepped me for this one here, but
What's it just came to mind.
Well, I would hate to say, oh, I love them all. 'Cause
Right.
I really do.
Oh, I'm sure.
I mean, every single thing that I do, I put my heart into them all. I really do.
Or the most challenging, maybe.
Oh, well, I'll just go off recent.
Yeah.
Say this year, there, like I said, I love everything. There was a few cool ones though. As far as moose, the horseshoe bull.
Oh, the one Tommy. Yeah, we did
Yeah.
the podcast on that actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's a good example of giant bull.
Yep.
What was he? 64
65
and a
inches, I
half.
think.
We'll call him
5.5.
We'll
I
call
can't
him
remember.
65.
Whatever it was. Yeah.
He was huge, and he had palms to match. Great
Yeah.
big bull. And so I met with that client, and he was really into it.
Yeah.
And we went into where he wanted it hung in his home. We went into the fact that he has a desk in his office, and sometimes there's conference calls, so the camera could be flipped around, and all the little details. You want the moose to be seen. Some of those conference calls, sometimes you don't. Depending. So we figured out where we were going to hang it. So that was job number one, and I'm getting into your question here.
Yeah.
And then came the hunt. Now that was a really aggressive bull, and when they got that bull, I mean, he was putting on a show, and
Right.
he was aggressive, so he wanted that incorporated into the mount. So by him telling me where he wanted it, okay, now I know how we need to display those antlers, and then now we know, because of how that hunt took place and that bull had attitude, we need to show attitude in that mount. So he gave me general guidelines of what he wanted,
Yep.
but then he said, just go with it. Make it how I want, but this is kind of what I want,
Yeah.
which is cool.
Trust your artistic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I ended up mounting him up. I looked at a lot of reference photos of live moose, with their ears down a certain way, aggressive, because they don't get, well, sometimes they do. I'm not going to, there's no always and nevers with anything, but
Right.
I didn't pin his ears back like a whitetail would, aggressive, downwards. His eyes were rolling. He was turning. Just the whole package together to capture the attitude of the moose and that hunt and where he wanted to put it in his home.
Yeah.
When it was all said and done, I felt like, man, I nailed that one.
You did.
Like
It's
that's
gorgeous.
for what he wanted.
Yeah.
I just the overall package, and he was happy, and
Yeah.
so him being happy, I'm happy.
Right.
I want everyone to love their mounts. That's
Oh,
all.
yeah.
I want people to be happy. Makes me happy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely.
There, and then there was that black bear mounted in the tree. That was pretty cool. Just different.
Yeah.
Not something you see every day.
It was the first time I'd ever seen
Yeah.
a bear mounted in a tree.
It's cool.
Yeah.
It's it's not hard to do. It's just different.
Right.
It's not your normal shoulder mount bear, and so that was cool. And then yeah.
Awesome. Well, I guess we'll, kind of coming towards the, wrapping this one up. But, as I said to folks, Troy's one of our dear members on the team and really brings a level of knowledge and expertise that's truly an addition here. And I guess we'll, end, you're a passionate whitetail hunter, obviously.
Yeah.
When you think about, someone, they're going moose hunting this fall or whatever, any tips you have for people maybe heading out on their first moose hunt, or, looking to hire guides, or any things you've seen or observed people should know or have in mind, or at all, any topic?
I'll give him my phone number and tell me everywhere you've seen big bucks.
There you go.
We'll go with that. You need a plan.
Yeah.
You need a plan. It's repeated over and over and over, but in my opinion, just you can't beat having a plan.
Yeah.
Have everything figured out ahead of time. What kind of sucks about the way the moose system works is we find out, when is the
90
drawing?
days before
Yeah, that's
you
it.
know. Yeah.
You have such a short time to prep, and for someone that's never done it,
right.
that's a lot. That's
Yeah.
someone that doesn't live here. That's a lot.
Yeah.
But as rare as it is to get drawn, I mean, don't skimp on anything.
Yeah.
Just go the extra mile and just give it all you have to get everything lined up and planned, and do the scouting you need to. Just be open to learning, trying new things. Throughout that week, a lot changes in a week's time.
They do. It does, yeah.
September, it's not the same hunt Monday as it was, as it is Saturday. And the same
Right.
thing with October. You just got to be willing to change and adapt and try new things and have fun. You
Yeah.
know, that seems the most typical, easiest answer, but have a plan, have fun, and let the cards fall where they do.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I love it. And then, you're having the plan. I think that's key. You said mapping those logistics, if you're coming on a moose hunt, make sure you got a reservation in with a butcher.
Yep. Oh, that's, yeah.
Don't just assume you can just show up cold
Yep.
with a moose,
Yep.
because they may be able to accommodate you.
Yep.
They may not.
Mm-hmm.
And then
What do you do?
they aren't everywhere, especially in, remote regions, whether that's in Maine or other states where there's moose hunting.
Yeah.
So get your processing reservation in, have your plan. I love it, Troy.
And for me too, I only take in a limited amount of work every
Yep.
year. That's the only way I can keep the quality where I want it.
Yeah.
I am not into rushing and getting mounts out the door
Right.
for the next dollar.
Right.
That's not, no. So, I can only take in so much. So if you think you might want to use me as a taxidermist or any other taxidermist, it doesn't have
Right.
to be just me. Call ahead.
You should be calling ahead on
Yeah,
that.
check
absolutely.
in. Just say, if I were to shoot a moose, prices, everything that's coming out of my mouth right now, that's my opinion, how I want. The next taxidermist down the road might be a little different. He might want things done a little different.
But it's very good, solid, I'm
Yep.
sure, encompassing guidance.
Yeah,
Right?
100%. Yeah. So just check in.
Yeah.
Check in with everyone and make sure you have all your bases covered, and should be good to go.
Awesome.
Yep.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much, buddy.
Yep.
It's a blast having
Thanks,
you
Chris.
on here.
Appreciate it.
Really, thanks for the knowledge. And as I said, folks, we'll have a video up on our YouTube channel very shortly that you can tune into, of Mr. Pelletier here talking through some important steps on recovery and field care. So with all that said, thank you, folks. God bless. Take care.